Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chris. I'm a holistic health coach and trained chef. Welcome to my tiny Healthy Mama kitchen. We are out of the studio today and I am sharing with you a tour of my home kitchen, exactly how I have taken a little bit of time, if you saw my last video, to refresh and reorganize my kitchen so it is the most efficient possible, so that creating meals to live the healthy mama life that I want to live and that I want for my family is just easier. Being someone who has been in the culinary industry for almost a decade, I know what it means to be efficient in the kitchen. And so I have really taken the time to make sure that my kitchen is as organized as possible while still having systems in place that my family can actually use. So I am so excited to share with you a tour of my kitchen today. If you have not yet joined me for my free Spring Clean Your Kitchen Challenge, we would love to have you. I'll put the link in the description box down below. We're hanging out over on Facebook the whole month, spending the month decluttering and reorganizing our kitchen, our fridge, our freezer, and our pantry for a more organized and refreshed kitchen this spring. So come on and join us, and without further ado, let's jump in to my kitchen tour. All right, let's go ahead and start on this side of the kitchen and we'll work our way around. As you can see, it's a galley style kitchen, which actually is very efficient for cooking, and I'll show you as we go. I organize my kitchen into zones. This is something that I'm teaching in the Spring Clean Your Kitchen Challenge, and also the kitchen organization podcast episode that I'll link down below. How to organize your kitchen for more efficiency teaches you how to organize your kitchen into zones so that cooking is just that much easier. So the zone that I have kind of over here in this general section is the zone for all of the like glasses. As you'll see, I have all of my glasses over here, and down at the bottom we just have mason jars that we use for drinking glasses. You know, we've got wine glasses at the top, we've got some in the other room too. So these are basically right next to the sink, so when we need to grab some water, it's all right there. Up top here, I don't have a ton up here, but I do have some water bottles, some additional wine glasses if we have friends over. I have some cold brew and tea makers up there, things that we don't use all of the time, but I do want to have easy access to, things like you know, chopsticks, and then I use these for nut milks. So I keep those above the sink because I don't use them all the time, but I do still need them readily available. And then I also have my dishes up here in this cupboard, and this is the primary spot that I use to plate my dishes. So this is the kind of serving zone. If you've ever been in a professional kitchen, you know that professional kitchens are divided into zones, and that's how they make the kitchen work and they make the kitchen efficient. And it works the same way if you are in your home kitchen, no matter what style home kitchen you have. If you have a zone where it's all of the serving things, you can have somebody serving up the food while somebody's in the other side of the kitchen cooking, and you're not banging into each other. So it makes things a lot easier for families, and it just keeps things organized. So you can see I've got up top here are really just my food photography bowls and things like that that I don't use all the time. Kind of closer to eye level. I'm only 5 feet tall, so literally nothing is eye level. But closer to eye level are like my plates and my bowls. The things that we use most often are over here in kind of our serving area. Over here, I'll kind of come over to the top and then we'll go down to the bottom, is actually part of our pantry, which I will share more of in the pantry tour. So we're not going to go deep into this, but the reason my pantry items are up here is because they are close to where I need to use them. So I have my Vitamix over here. I make a smoothie pretty much every morning, so I have all of my smoothie goods there. I've got my coffee and my coffee grinder down here, and this is where I make my French press coffee. So I try and keep things where I'm actually going to use them, and that's what keeps things really efficient. So let's go ahead and move down below here, a little bit lower, and I'll share kind of in the similar zone. This is my drawer where I have all of our utensils. I have little things, you know, for chopsticks, and these go with the drink cups that are over the sink. So, you know, it serves the purpose. It's nothing fancy, but I have all of our utensils over here, our straws, and then over here on the side, because this is a really wide drawer, I wanted it to be efficient. So I've got things like parchment paper and foil and plastic wrap, and then stasher bags, which we use in place of Ziplocs in here. So again, it's nothing fancy, but it really works for us. So coming over here, you can see remnants of my smoothie over here. This is real life, you guys. Okay. Moving on, down below, underneath the utensil drawer, is the area where I have quite a bit of my cooking equipment that I use. Maybe not cooking equipment, but baking items. I don't bake all the time, but I do use things like baking sheets pretty readily, so I keep those really easy. You can't really see it, but there's actually like a file organizer down there that keeps these really easy to come in and out because I use these on a regular basis. I always keep one cutting board up top to use for just kind of daily tasks, and then I have additional ones down here. I have things like muffin trays down here. This is my big board that I use for charcuterie. I have my coffee grinder right up front because I use this several times a week, every single week, and then just various baking dishes, just stacked. My biggest thing when it comes to the kitchen is just making sure that I don't have too many things that I don't use out. If I need to, I can always go ahead and put things in storage if I'm only going to use them once or twice a year. I tend to use a lot of these things for food photography, so I keep them out, but I always recommend if you don't need it in your kitchen, if you're only going to use it once a year, you might as well have it somewhere else. But these are generally the things that I use on a regular basis just to keep them easy to access. Moving back over to this side of the kitchen, I'll just give you a quick little peek into what it looks like under the sink. So we use the under the sink area just to house a couple of our cleaning supplies. Just again, same concept as the rest of the kitchen, just anything that we actually use on a regular basis. So, you know, like our dish rack and the dish mat, dish pods, cleaners, and then I have clean rags and dirty rags and plastic bags here too. So nothing crazy, but it's, you know, it is what it is and it works for us. And then over here, the last cupboard on this side is just the containers that I use for meal prep. Many of you know I do a ton of meal prep, but I don't actually keep a ton of containers on hand. I typically use what I have. And so in the front here, I just have the items that I use on a more regular basis, my glass items, and then kind of moving back are the ones that I use a little bit less. So that is kind of all it is in that cupboard. And let's just go ahead and head to the other side of the kitchen. So we'll head over this way and work our way around. Okay, let's start on the top here. This was by far the area that I spent the most time on in this kitchen, and this is, if you saw the before, the biggest transformation. There were so many mason jars and so many lids and so many mugs, and it was a little bit crazy. So what I did is I just went in and I just did a whole declutter, and I just made sure that, I keep saying this, but it's really what we use in the kitchen. So I went through and I just categorized each one of the different types of jars, and I laid them out based on how often I use them. I use these weck jars really often for meal prep and things like overnight oats and chia pudding, so I have those right front and center, and right behind are their lids. I have these little jars which I love to use for leftover sauces, and so I oftentimes will use those. And then these medium-sized jars hold just a little bit more than the small ones, so I use those often as well. And then moving on up, these are great for making little yogurt jars or chia puddings that are kind of kid size. I think I got these at Target. And so I have those up there, and then this container is actually just housing all of our lids now. There's nothing crazy about this organization, but it does house all of the lids in a way that, you know, is easier to find than the way that I had it previously. Over here, we are kind of moving into the kitchen prep zone over here. So that's why I have all of my bowls up here. These are kind of salad bowls, but I will use them for tossing as well. So any of my mixing bowls are over here, and then I use these for meal prep all the time, and they just don't quite fit in the other cupboard. So I like having these big kind of anchor containers over here for when I do things like shredded chicken or chicken salad or anything that's a little bit bulkier that I use for my meal prep. And then all the way at the top, I just have some leftover wide mouth mason jars and any mugs that don't fit on our mug tree that is with our coffees. So that is the beginning of our prep zone over here. Let's move along this side, and then we'll kind of go down below. So the next part of my prep zone is where I have most of our pots and pans. And I'm not kidding you when I'm telling you this is what we have for pots. I have a Dutch oven, and I have a couple smaller pots, and then I have a big pasta pot that I'll show you down below, but I keep it very, very minimalist when it comes to my kitchen equipment because we live in such a small, or we have such a small kitchen. I don't want to be digging through pots that I don't actually use. I just have what we use, I just have what we need, and the things that I have are good quality, so I don't feel like I need a ton of equipment. And then on the top, we've got like our Chemex and our espresso maker and just those type things. Up here above the microwave, which yes, is held together by duct tape, but that's for another day. I just have some leftover glasses up here that we only use a couple times a year, so nothing crazy up there, but we just kind of I took out anything that we don't typically use from there. And then over here, really quick, is just the other part of our pantry. Again, I'm gonna go through this on our pantry tour, so I'm not gonna go too deep into that, but that is what is going on over there. Coming on down here, I'll just give you a really quick peek into what we have down here. But I just have kitchen towels and oven mitts, again, right next to the stove, part of our prep zone. And I also consider the food prep zone this big kind of mason jar style container where I have anything that I would need to cook with is all there, easy to find. I don't keep it in a drawer because I use them on a regular basis, and these are all of the kitchen tools that I have other than knives. So I just keep those out there. Down over here, I have the drawer that we're just gonna close that. That's a project for another day. We're not gonna talk about the spice drawer. That is literally the most embarrassing part of my house. And the kid snack drawer, which we are also working on reorganizing. Looks like they got into the snacks this morning. Down under the oven, I'll show you guys really quick. I can't guarantee this is clean, but yes, I know this is a warming drawer, but this is actually where we keep most of our pans, like most people do. So I've just got one big kind of heavy bottomed pan that we use for a lot of sauteing. My cast iron skillet is what I use to do most of my cooking in. We've got a couple non-stick pans and a grill pan, and that's it. That is my cooking equipment. Coming over here and coming over to the drawers next to the oven, main cooking prep zone. Again, this is where I keep my knives. You might be surprised to know that I don't actually have a ton of knives. I have the knives that I use and love. One of my favorite knives is actually at my mom's house right now because I do some videos up at her house. But my main knife, my favorite Global Chef's knife, is in here. Really safe, easy to grab when I'm gonna go and start prepping food here. I've got a larger, heavier Santoku knife. I've got a meat knife. I have my daughter's little play knife, which actually does well to cut things. I have, a serrated knife. Just the things I need. I also have a thermometer, a candy thermometer, and a regular digital thermometer in the back there. I have my Y peelers, which if you've seen any of my cooking videos, you know I'm obsessed with these. I won't use any other peelers. I've got my can opener, just the things that I'm going to use on a regular basis when it comes to slicing, dicing, peeling, opening, all of that. So that's all in one category there. This drawer is probably the second biggest change to what I kind of transformed in this whole kitchen reorganization, and this is my tools drawer. So I just really took everything out that we weren't using anymore. I got rid of a ton. I just categorized any of the measuring cups. All the measuring spoons are in here. I have my measuring cup. Things over here. Oh, these are a lot of things that the kids use, or baking things we don't use all the time, but there really isn't a better place to put them. This is my almond milk bag that I use pretty much weekly. I have my grater, some funnels for putting things into jars and sauces and such. I have my Vitamix tamper, my fish spatula, a little brush here, and then my beloved microplane, my favorite kitchen tool of all time. And down below here is just the kids section, and so this is just where their plates and their cups and things like that live. They're dirty right now because we just had breakfast. So that's all there is down there. Over here, this is one of the most interesting drawers in my kitchen to most of the moms that follow me over on Instagram. But this is my lunchbox packing zone. Now, right now we only have one kiddo in school. My 3-year-old is in daycare, my 7-year-old is here at home, but we still pack lunches every so often if we do homeschool group or whatever, if we go on a little field trip, a picnic. So this just makes lunchbox packing really efficient. I have everything that we need to pack the lunchbox all in one place. My daughter is at daycare right now, so her lunchbox is not in there, but pretty much everything that we would need to pack the lunchbox is in there, and my 7-year-old put this away. It belongs in the other drawer. Gotta stay organized, right? All right, let's dig into the last cupboard, and this is my appliances, and you'll see over here I do always keep my Vitamix out because I use that every single day, at least once a day. And then I actually have my beef and butternut squash chili recipe, which is one of our favorite recipes, in the slow cooker right now because I'm filming all day today and I wanted to have something quick and easy for dinner. So that slow cooker is in there. That normally goes down here. But if you want to come over and just check out what we've got in our appliance cupboard, this is the last of what I have in my kitchen. Like I mentioned, I've got one big pasta pot. We do pasta probably once a week, and then I just nested in there is the colander. That's all we need for pasta, so or any soups that we don't use the Instant Pot or the slow cooker for. So I've got that up there. I've got the rice cooker up here. The biggest change I made in this shelf, and this set of shelves specifically, is that I really wanted it to work for me. So I wanted to make sure that the things I use most often are easily accessible. So I have my knife sharpener. The popcorn maker is great, but we probably only use it once a week or once every 2 weeks, so it doesn't need to be front and center, but I do use the food processor often for things like energy balls and energy bars, pesto, so I wanted to make sure that I had that front and center. I've got my spiralizer back there, mixer. This is just for sourdough bread. I've got a scale over there. In the back, I've got a waffle maker and a tortilla press, and then of course my Instant Pot, and then my slow cooker fits really beautifully right there. And then in terms of the rest of the kitchen, over here I just have my recipe binder. We have some fruit in a basket here. I usually keep lemons and any fruits that we need to eat right away over here. I always have a cutting board out. Like I mentioned, I always keep some oils and some salt out for in the kitchen prep zone for ease of cooking. And then I've got some garlic and ginger out there as well. But overall, this is it. It's not a huge kitchen. I don't have a ton of fancy equipment, but it works really well for me. The items that I do have are high quality, and they help me to create the meals that we love, that make us feel good, and that taste delicious. I hope you enjoyed a little tour of my tiny home kitchen. Despite being small, it is really efficient and really helps us to live the healthy, balanced life that we want to live. So I hope you enjoyed a little sneak peek into what my kitchen looks like and how I cook at home and how I just store things so that cooking is that much easier. If you haven't yet joined us in the Spring Clean Your Kitchen Challenge, the link is in the description box down below. It's free. It is a great community-wide challenge to do exactly what I did in the last couple of videos, really take the time to refresh and reorganize our kitchens so that it just feels easier to get meals ready, to actually enjoy spending time in the kitchen, because ultimately my goal for all of you is that living a healthy, balanced life feels easy. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you want more videos like this, don't forget to hit subscribe. I bring you new videos every single week, and I hope that you all have a beautiful week until I catch you in the next video. Okay, I think that was pretty good.